We have one last one for you. A fantastic job by Bleacher Report in a very creative way. It's not a list, it's not a ranking, it just has to do with the most hated athletes since 2000 and how much they had a cultural change in the games that they played, right, in the sports that they played. And I encourage everyone to go over. It was a really good job by Bleacher Report. So I'm going to put up the list of some of the most hated athletes and teams.
Since 2000, right?
Since 2000, and read you a poll that I was actually pretty surprised by from my own Twitter following in terms of what the answers were. These athletes and teams all have one big thing in common. They were great at their sports, and barring how you feel about them and how certain Hall of Fames works, almost every one of these players should be in some form of Hall of Fame. Allen Iverson, the 01 Yankees, Mike Tyson in 2002. So why they put Mike Tyson there, as they were saying, was past the 90s. You actually
There's multiple eras of Mike Tyson being hated for different reasons.
The 80s was a good one. That's Mike Tyson in his heyday, if I'm correct, with the boxing career.
And then there's some negative things out of the ring that Mike Tyson got himself involved in. Assault, rape charges.
Right. That's the 90s of Mike Tyson. Then
that did hit the early 90s.
Then it culminated like in 2002, because there's also like the divorce that I heard got very ugly, and then there's the, like as you mentioned, the other things too. So Kobe, Terrell Owens, Barry Bonds, Floyd Mayweather, the Patriots when they signed Randy Moss, Tiger Woods, LeBron when he joined the Miami Heat, and Luis Suarez.
Let's keep it real. The Patriots are hated in 07, 08. They signed Randy Moss after the Spygate thing broke.
That's what Spygate was.
They cheated to win a Super Bowl.
They cheated to win a Super Bowl.
Just going to say that.
You really love
Super Bowl.
I love your unbiased opinion about the New England Patriots.
They cheated to win a Super Bowl. So with many people on this list, it's and I think also another thing I really liked in this article was it points out there's fanfare, there's rabid fans, and there's rabid hatred. That's the way fans are. We're fickle creatures. A lot of times it's based in jealousy. Honestly, and it's weird, I always defend this guy, Barry Bonds. Of course he was on performance-enhancing drugs. Of course he was. Of course his head grew 2 times his normal size. So all that happened. But baseball is who you blame for that. They allowed it to go rampant because they were having issues after the strike and they were screwed and no one wanted to watch baseball again. They allowed it to go. So how many middle relief pitchers, how many starting pitchers, how many closers, second basemen that weren't big hitters took these drugs and it didn't shoot them to superstardom? Should there be asterisks by their meager numbers? No, man, you allowed it to happen. So yes, the hate came because he seemed like a cheater. The same way I was just talking about the Patriots, nobody likes a cheater. So if you allow the entire league to cheat, that's your fault. You can't blame it on one guy or 5.
Well, that's why I did the article in the Huffington Post trying to defend Alex Rodriguez, where I think I polled everyone in the studio that cares about baseball. It's a whopping number of 3 outside of myself, so 4 total. We stand strong. And the biggest thing that came to it is, like, no matter what you looked at, this guy was an a-hole, right? But so a lot of it had to do with the fact that Bud Selig was pinning his entire witch hunt on A-Rod because he wanted to pin 15 years of steroids in baseball, which, by the way, was one of the things they mentioned as a hated athlete or a hated time in sports since 2000 was just steroids altogether. But to veer away from baseball, there was a couple others, because I love when we have any excuse to bring this up, and like Terrell Owens, who, on top of everything else, is not up for Hall of Fame induction yet for whatever ridiculous reason. Because, by the way, if you're going to talk about one of the 3 greatest receivers to ever play the game, Terrell Owens is in there. The only argument you are actually allowed to make is that Jerry Rice was better. That's the only one. And he was, by the way, Jerry Rice number 1. But there's no argument that Terrell Owens is outside number 2 or number 3. Statistics-wise, his impact-wise, his ability to play the game-wise, everything on the field. And this is a guy who wasn't even that much of a jackass off the field. But because of how he handled himself in certain ways, because he was so disrespectful for kneeling down on the Cowboys star, which, by the way, took him from being one of the hated athletes in football to the single most hated guy in football.
I'm a backwards.
You effed with America's team.
I'm a backwards thinker. That made me like Terrell Owens.
Right.
I love that moment. That's one of my favorite moments. And when he got knocked off of the spot, that should have happened too. I love that whole moment. That's what we're here for. He was a little overly emotional, so when you start going after teammates, that's when he loses me. Because Donovan McNabb was awesome, but he went after him and said he's the reason for he got tired in the Super Bowl, and you see him over there throwing up on the sideline, all that stuff, whatever. Like when you start throwing your teammates under the bus who helped you get where you went, then that's where you lose me. There was another point you mentioned right in the middle of that where end up being on the wrong side of things. Oh yeah, with people getting in the hall. So a lot of times sports writers and people like that end up being influential figures. Barry Bonds was hated partially because he was an a-hole. Who was an a-hole too? The media, because they asked him questions he didn't want to answer, or they asked him in a way that he's like, why are you disrespecting me? And if he disrespects them, they're like, I hold the keys to your future, your success, and how society
legacy.
treats you.
A lot of things sports writers do a lot of time is they'll throw around, including myself when I've written for sports columns, they'll throw around the word legacy. And it's a dangerous word because we might not think players really care so much as we do about it as a fan. Like, I care about the legacy of David Wright more maybe than David Wright does.
Right.
But certain players, you can see when it irks them. You can. Barry Bonds was one of them. A-Rod was another one. Terrell Owens might be another one after everything coming out with the Hall. But I'm sorry, go on.
No, and there's people that don't want, and those athletes, I wonder, as I said, I think the vast majority of people involved in sports, from writing to coaching to broadcasting and all that, at one point in their childhood wanted to be a professional athlete. If you love sports, you wanted to be an athlete, right? And there's something inside a lot of people, if they didn't make it and now they have this other profession close to the sport, where they're like, I'm jealous of that guy who made it. I don't like him because he has what I wanted. And he treats it so flippantly. Or he makes all that money and look how he acts. If I had that money, I would act this way. That's you, dude. So don't try and change someone else. Tiger Woods was on the list too. Dude was amazing for forever in the world of golf, right? And then we found out about his extramarital affairs. What the hell does that have to do with how he's playing on the course? Because he's not as chummy with you guys anymore. I mean, he's losing. He gets to be upset now. He sucks now. So he gets to be upset about where his career has gone. He's a human being. So when you start going, well, how come you're not nice to me? How come you don't answer my questions when I ask you a-hole style questions? It's because he's a guy too. You don't like him. He doesn't like you. That's fine.
I agree with that one.
It's really frustrating.
The Tiger one was interesting because of the downfall of Tiger Woods, just in general, from like the sports media perspective. They crucified Tiger. Yeah. They won't let him go. Yeah. And by the way, anytime he plays in any tournament, is Tiger back? Could this be the major he wins? I really hope he wins one more. Real quick, we're going to throw to the last two polls because I did the two polls for this clip. Specifically, who is the most hated athlete since 2000, given these four options: Allen Iverson, Kobe Bryant, Luis Suarez, and Terrell Owens. Everyone loves AI. Only 6% said he was. Yeah. The other three was 33% led by Terrell Owens, Kobe Bryant 32%, and Suarez 29%. Surprisingly, who was the most hated team since 2000? 46% said the 2007 New England Patriots, 42% said the 2011 Miami Heat, and our audience is too young to remember the 2001 New York Yankees, because they were going for, at that point, 3 straight. That was one of the most hated teams in baseball, 12%, and maybe because people don't like baseball anymore.
I'm surprised Tebow is also, he was on the list.
Tebow Mania.
He wouldn't get it, just on both sides of the Tebow thing. And by the way, I was so indifferent on Tebow for so many years. I was like, yeah, Tebow's annoying, but it's okay. He's got me now. And I'm like, man, that guy, no matter what, no matter how much hate he receives, he comes in positively.
I know.
I like that guy.
He's Tim Tebow. He's the definition of stay posy. Like Tim Tebow. All right, comment below, like, favorite, subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're watching on that platform. If you're watching over on Pluto TV, don't forget to head over to our Facebook page, facebook.com/TYT Sports. And of course, our YouTube channel as well. JR Jackson can be found at JR Jackson on Twitter and on the Young Turks and on many other platforms over at the TYT Network. We'll be back next week with some more fun stories for whatever you want to call it.
Rams 15-1 Super Bowl champions.